having trouble getting filler or Bondo straight, hopefully this next video will provide the keys to getting it right every time. One of the biggest problems is using too fine of a grit sandpaper when sanding filler. What happens is your block will just follow the filler like this. You'll just be going like that over and over and over and over. The edges will feather in and you'll be fooled thinking that you have your filler flat. Now this is quite an exaggeration, but it shows how coarse grit sandpaper can cut through instead of riding over. So when we sand our filler with coarse grit, it will cut through. And we're going to stay on top of that filler, letting the sandpaper do the job. So we're just going to come across, and the sharp sandpaper cuts through and works our filler down, and we're going to let the tool and the sandpaper do the work. We're not going to force the edges to feather. And once we get down to the bottom and our sandpaper is cutting, the edges will naturally feather in. In real life, you might be fixing a ding or a dent like this. We prepared the dent for filler using a sander or grinder like this with a fiber resin 36 grit disc on it. And we ground it down to bare metal. We applied the filler, and remember, too thick, you're going to have too much to sand. Too thin, you'll have to reapply. Now, we're going to begin cutting just these ridges off, because I don't want to dull my sandpaper. I'm saving this nice, fresh, sharp sandpaper for when I really want to get it straight. So right now we're just going to take this thick, gummy layer of filler off, and we're just going to go like that. And we're taking the ridges off. That's all. Just taking some of that gummy stuff off that clogs the paper. Now I went this way, and now I can come up this way a little bit. Just to, I don't want to dull, make my paper dull already. Just going to get that, I can feel it's a little bit of a ball right now, so I'm going to keep going a little bit. And there was my dent right there, so no sense using the paper yet if I haven't gotten to the dent. And I'm just I'm staying on top. I'm staying on top of that dent. Working all the way around it, trying to stay on top of that filler. And then I'm going to come back this way. That should be good. That's almost out. We're going to let that harden and come back, and now we'll have nice, fresh, sharp paper to cut through that filler. After shaving some of that gummy stuff off the top and getting it real close, this is the important part. We have brand new, fresh 36 or 40 grit paper, nice and sharp, on a flat block. This is also a flat, stiff block. You don't really want to use something that flexes like that. You want a nice, stiff, flat block, either like this or like this guy. We're going to stay on top of the filler, and we're going to go this way and this way. And you can go in circles as long as you cancel out those circles. So we're going to stay on top of that filler until the edges start to feather in by themselves. We're not going to force those edges to feather in. So sharp paper. And I'm staying on top of the filler. And we have our dent out, but we're waiting for it to feather in. We're not going to come over here and force that to feather in. We're going to stay on top of the filler and let them feather in by themselves. So now I'm going to go in this direction. And they're starting to feather. That feathered in, that hasn't yet. That's starting to. That is starting to. It's all starting to feather in. Now I'm going to lighten up real nice and light and let the block and paper do all the work. I'm going to stop right there. It looks like it's almost all feathered in. Now I'm going to come back with some 80 grit. This is a real close-up so you can see exactly what's going on. We'll be using 80 grit to finish off the dent. And again, I'm just real light, and we have a brand new piece of 80. I'm just real light. And that's it. Let me DA sand this edge, clean it up a bit. We'll throw a coat of primer on so you can see what the finished panel looks like. Before priming, I masked this off because this is a junk tailgate and we're only focusing on this small area. But after 2 coats of primer surfacer, this area or repaired dent is ready to be block sanded, primed again, finish sanded, and painted. I hope you enjoyed this video on the secrets to getting fillers straight, and if you did, and you'd like to get my latest videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.